Well, today's episode is going to be interesting today. Well, as you know, around the same time as Wrestle Kingdom, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling had their latest show, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling 2023. We only have all three championship matches being on the line. That's the International Princess title, the Princess Tag titles, and the Princess of Princess Tag titles. But also, we have a number one contendership for the Princess of Princess Championship. And of course, as you know, we comment off from the day of Wrestle Kingdom 17. New Japan Pro Wrestling had their latest show, New Year's Ash. We didn't know who was going to make appearance, but boy, I have to say, I like what I saw. Surprises I did not anticipate, but it's worth watching. We also got MLW's latest show with 161, which we have a very interesting match with a six-man tag, and of course, Willie Mack and Fatu go to head on the main event. And of course, we're only 1 week away from Hard to Kill by Impact Wrestling. What will happen in between here and now? That's something we won't know. But also, we got some interesting news updates where, of course, we have more on what's been going on with Vince McMahon, who wants to make his return. Dave Meltzer has a different opinion about Mercedes Mone due to the fact that he has a different impression of what he believes or what he thinks is happening, and very other things are taking place. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with the latest Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling event, Tokyo Joshi Pro 23. This took place, I believe, in Korakuen Hall. Now, we have, of course, the opening of Up Girls as always, and they introduce Shinoe once again. Shino, who we haven't seen so far. We're yet to see her wrestle and perform whenever the opportunity rises. Now, our opening match, we have singles competition. We got Imawari, who is new, who originally came from At-Risk Girls, came to Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Now, and then she faces Yuki Aino, who is in fact is getting improved as a singles competitor after coming off being a tag team with her blood sister Nodoka Temna, who retired last year, if you guys remember. I have to say she continues to impress us, and of course she took out Imawari with her move, the inverted DDT, and boom, it was over right from there. Next match, we got, of course, another new girl in the tag team segment. We have Wakana Uhara teaming up with Arisu Endo to take on Julia Nagona and Moka Miyamoto. Now, Julia and Moka have been very successful as teaming up. They're not yet to establish themselves as a tag team yet or try to become tag team, but they have shown they can team up on various occasions. But, however, I think this new girl, Wakana, really did pretty good job, but she was the one who ended up in a submission by Moka, forcing her to tap out. Next up, we got an interesting six-person tag match. Team number one, Aruna Neko, and teams up with Pamarajuku and Raku, where they take on Kaya Toribami, Mahito Kinru, and Nao Kakuta. Now, this was a pretty good, fun match. I thought it was pretty good, but however, it was, of course, Nao Kakuta, who I've seen has grown up so much, picked up the win by applying her own the stunner onto, who was it? Onto onto Neko. 1, 2, 3, she wins. However, it was later announced that because of this, she ended up Ruka Neko ended up injured. She's gonna take. She's gonna be out for a couple of shows. Not sure when she'll be back, but she will be ready. Next up, we have a very interesting match. This one's called the New Year's Rabbits and Horns match between two best friends, tag team partners, been rivals in the past. We're talking about the resident superhero Hyper Misao and the big kaiju Shoko Nakajima. Oh my god, had a lot of fun in this match. I mean, I thought it was really funny because they brought in some lumberjacks in bunny ears with hammers. Well, the toy hammers, not the real hammers. But it was a lot of fun. I think this was good. But however, the match ended in a draw. I think this match lasted up to 14 minutes and 53 seconds. I'm not sure if the time limit was 15. That's something I'm still unclear about that. But we'll see what takes place. Now, our next match is a number one contendership for the Princess of Princess Championship. We have now Hikari Noa taking on Maki Ito. Then later we had Yuki Kamifuku, Rika Tatsumi, Mizuki, and Zuzumi. I thought it was pretty great. However, the way it was eliminated, Hikari Noa was eliminated first. Then Yuki Kamifuku was eliminated by Maki Ito. And then Rika Tatsumi was eliminated by Maki Ito and Zuzumi. But it was Maki Ito who eliminated Zuzumi. And then finally, it was Mizuki who picked up the win. Now, this was a very interesting development. Now, I did spoke about this one on the news updates from the last episode, where Mizuki has never challenged for the Princess of Princess Championship. And that is something that is true, but we'll see how that plays out because her best friend and tag partner is in the main event. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our first championship match, we have the Princess International Championship. We got Trish Adora, who we all know pretty well here in the States, well established, taking on Miyu Watanabe, which is a good challenge for her. Now, we've seen Miyu Watanabe, what a great competitor she has been. She's been improving, not to mention doing the giant swing as we always seen. But however, she did defeated Trish Adora with the teardrop, having her to retain the title. Now, our next match is the Princess Tag Team titles. We have the Wasteland Party War, consistent of Max and the Impaler and Heidi Howitzer to take on Reiwa AA Cannon, consistent of Yuki Arai and Saki Akai. I thought this match was insane because how would the tag champions withstand the powerness and the devastation of both, Heidi and Max? That is the one thing that told. But they were able to try to separate try to take out one person by inflicting so much pain. But however, it was Max the Impaler who pinned Yuki, and now they become the International Princess Championship. So the obvious question remains now, who will step up to the throne, both Max and Heidi? This is going to be one hell of a way to try to bring those titles back from the wasteland. Now, our main event is the Princess of Princess Championship. We have Miyu Yamashita, the challenger, taking on Yuka Sakazaki. Now, these two ladies are known each other for very long. They have faced each other time and time again. But there was one thing in their past that they haven't forgotten. Yuka Sakazaki hasn't forgotten the humiliation she suffered in with Miyu Yamashita all those years ago when she dethroned her for the title. That is something that she hasn't forgotten. Now, in various cases, we always seen like, okay, you weren't unable to beat this person until it happened. Will Yuka Sakazaki be that person that will dethrone her? That means Miyu Yamashita could beat her again like she did in the past. But man, they went hard hitting in this one until finally Yuka Sakazaki applied the 450 splash from the springboard, and boom, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But she did give a amount of respect for Miyu Yamashita for, putting everything on the line, putting all the emotion in. But in the end, Yuka was actually the victor. However, after this match, it was revealed that Yuka Sakazaki suffered a concussion. She's going to be out for quite some time. And it's going to be interesting that she will not be appearing in certain shows until the concussion protocol is lifted. However, there is the matter of one thing. This one is the hardest thing that Yuka Sakazaki has to face. Now she knows that her number one contender is her best friend and tag partner, Mizuki. Now, as I said before, Mizuki has never won this title before. This is huge. And I know that Mizuki would love nothing more to win this belt. But right at this point, Mizuki has to put her emotions to the side and go for the prize. And I think that's what we may see in the future. I would love to see this match because this is very interesting. We have seen tag partners face off each other, but the outcome is, how would this go? We just got to wait and see until that match is booked. So let's move on to our next review, and I believe that is New Year's Dash by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling coming off from the Wrestle Kingdom. We go to New Year's Dash, which is where the card, we don't know what's on the card. So we just go as as they were going. Our first match, we have Tomoaki Hamna teaming up with Tiger Mask and Ren Narita taking on the most hated faction in the entire universe, the House of Torture, Dick Togo, Yujiro, and Evil. Now you know how this plays out with using tactics to ensure they were going to win. That's exactly what they were pulling off. But it was the magic killer that was applied on to Hamna by Dick and Evil to win the match. However, things got a little interesting. The House of Torture decided to beat up Ren Narita to make an example out of him. But the strangest thing happened. Minoru Suzuki showed up out of the blue. Now, why did he help Ren Narita? What is his interest towards him? However, when he thought everything was under his control, that piece of garbage shows up and decides to take matters in his own hands. But out of the blue, Despy shows up. El Desperado shows up to help Minoru Suzuki. Now, this was unusual. Last year we saw they disbanded. But now he shows up. It's still unclear what it is, but they managed to clean house. I'm sure Evil is not happy with the result. They wanted to make an example with Ren Narita, but the question is, what is Minoru Suzuki's interest in Ren Narita? But why would Despy help Minoru Suzuki? Well, even though they're not in the same unit anymore, it doesn't mean they can't have each other's backs. So, according to the backstage comments, they're saying they're willing to fight together, but not cooperate as a unit. But it's still the matter of the question: what is Minoru Suzuki's interest with Ren Narita? I guess we just have to find out when the time comes. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting moment. As we know, we saw Minoru Suzuki, Despy showed up. We have Taichi making his way, and behind him is Doiki, Kanemaru, and of course Taka Michinoku. Apparently they're trying to do something together. They take on the United Empire, Catch 2-2, TJP and Akira, Francesco Akira, and Will Ospreay. Now keep in mind, Will Ospreay is not in his right state of mind after losing to Kenny. As you know, he felt humiliated. He thought he had everything under control. But however, this also brings to Catch 2-2. If you guys remember, it was Doiki and Kanemaru that beat Catch 2-2 at the Super Junior Tag League that forced them not to go into the finals. So they want to right a wrong. But however, the greatest thing happened is, of course, Doiki was the one who picked up the win. I think he applied the seatbelt onto Akira But in the process, TJP and Akira were not happy with the results. Basically, this is the second time that they lost. And of course, Taichi goes in the face of Will Ospreay. Ospreay feels that he's been humiliated one last time again, trying to, Despy tried to, Taichi tried to, try to make a name for himself out of his own expense. So it's still unclear about what else is going to happen. But we know for a fact, now that Adoiki and Kanemaru has 2 wins over the champs, it's no doubt that they could be the next competitors to try to challenge them for the belts. But of course, they act like they think they know what they're going to do. But Taichi, on the other hand, he has one thing in his mind, is to break Ospreay's head. Now, our next match, we have TMDK, consistent of Shane Haste, Mikey Nichols, and the newest member and leader, or should I say the frontman of TMDK, Zack Sabre Jr. They take on the members of Chaos, consistent of Tomohiro Ishii, and of course, our current IWGP Tag Team Champions, Bushimon, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto. I thought this match was fantastic, but it also showed who is the most deadliest Aussie ever. Now, keep in mind, we had Aussie Open. They couldn't get the job done. But Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols were able to apply the Tank Buster onto Yoshihashi, but Mikey Nichols was the one who picked up the win, and boom. Now it makes perfect clear Mikey Nichols pinned the tag champions. It's no secret now that they would like to be the next challengers for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. But however, Ishii wants a piece of Zack Sabre Jr., who is, of course, the current IWGP World Television Champion. And I think that's it up. But however, that doesn't end there. During the post-match, we saw something very unusual. Zack Sabre Jr. said they need a new member, and of course, this was an unorthodox move, but surprising. They chosen, Zack Sabre Jr. chosen Kosei Fujita. Now, why would he pick a young lion? Simple. Fujita actually helped them before the deal with Evil, dating back all the way to the G1 climax, and I think that's the reason is. So he is going to be more of the roadie to help them out, their personal. And of course, Zack Sabre Jr. kind of insulted Jon Moxley. If you guys remember, Moxley took Shota Umino under his wing, and that would have been a very interesting thing. So Zack, just don't talk shit about Moxley, or else he'll find you. Now, our next match, I believe, yes. Our next match, we have a very interesting one. We have Yo, Ryusuke Taguchi, Togi Makabe, and Shota Umino taking on the members of LIJ, consistent of Bushi, Hiromu, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito. But as you know, Shingo will be involved in that KOP title match taking place. I thought this match was pretty good because Shota Umino has his sights set on Naito. I don't know what exactly he has in mind, but it just showed completely. But the biggest surprise, Yo was able to pick up a good victory today when he applied the direct drive onto Hiromu Takahashi. And in the post-match, he issued a challenge for the title. Now, keep in mind, he will always be tag team partners with Leo Rush, but Leo Rush is currently home, resting, trying to recover from his injury. And doesn't mean that Yo cannot moving forward until his return. So this is going to be huge. Now there's still no announcement yet. When will that happen? Now our next match, we have the Bullet Club, consisting of El Phantasmo, Taiji Shimori, Kenta, and Jay White taking on Master Wato, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Hikuleo, and Tama Tonga. Now keep in mind, Jay White is also not in his right state of mind due to the fact that everything has changed since losing the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. But however, this match ended in a disqualification thanks to El Phantasmo. But it appears that Jay White decided, because he lost the title, he put the blame on Hikuleo, saying that he was the root of all of his misery. So basically, he set up a stipulation saying loser will leave Japan because he knows how much Japan means a lot to him. His dad, Haku, has lived in Japan for many years and learned the language and all that. So that kind of sets it all. But the obvious question is, what does this mean if Hikuleo loses? Well, we know he has a bright future in in New Japan, but no announcement yet for that. Now our next match is the KOPW Championship that's going to be crowned. We have Sho being accompanied by those dick, like as Zack Sabre Jr. likes to call them, those dickheads, House of Torture. Next we have the Great Okan, and then Toriano, winner of the KOPW trophy in 2020 and 2022. And of course, the last champion we had, Shingo Takagi. So, however, you know that the House of Torture were going to do anything to ensure the show wins. That did not work. They got a taste of their own medicine. If you guys remember, Evil likes to toss people towards the timekeeper while he's there without a care in the world, but they got a taste of their own medicine. But in the end, it was Shingo Takagi with the last dragon onto Toriano to become our brand new KOPW champion. So I'm excited, but that doesn't end there. Our main event was the most surprising one. We have the United Empire consisting of Henare and Jeff Cobb. They take on a very surprising tag team, and that is Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. It was strange, but it worked. Now keep in mind, you know for a fact the United Empire will do anything to get revenge on Kenny Omega for what he did to Will Ospreay. That's no secret. But however, beating two champions, that would be huge for them. But it did not stop Kenny or Kazuchika Okada. They became like a force to be reckoned with. So they put aside their old rivalries and focus on this match. I thought it was good, and I think that's like that time where we say that would be the day where we did not expect Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada actually team up. But it was great. But it was the Rainmaker by Okada to Henare that allowed them to win the match. However, Kenny left immediately. The moment he left, I'm going to assume he's coming back to the States. But however, Jeff Cobb has his sights set on the title. Kenny mentioned on the post-match comments that you know where to find me. You can find me in AEW, or better yet, I'll just find you. But however, Okada, as you know, he will put on a deal to put his title on the line against the one man who wants to challenge him, and that is, of course, Shingo Takagi. So we'll be ready for that. So I have to say the show was awesome. I have to say the members of Suzuki-gun are doing fine for themselves. The ones that are still standing, and I think it's going to be great. So we'll see what happens then. So let's move on to our next review, MLW Fusion. MLW Fusion 6 now is back to it normally would see. It opened up with a loser must leave MLW type of match. We have Taurus, or we know him as Black Taurus, teaming up with Mini Abismo Negro and Gino Medina, taking on Commander, Laredo Kid, and Microman. Now, the intended target in this match is Microman. As you know, Microman has been a thorn on everyone's side, especially Gino Medina, who's been humiliated by them. The idea what they want is to send him home due to the fact that he's been nothing but a problem for them. But in every corner, you can tell they try to break him, humiliate him. Laredo Kid and Commander trying to be the good teammates they can be for him, tried to stop him. But there was a moment where, of course, Gino got carelessness. Laredo Kid tried to stop Gino Medina from trying to toss him out of the ring, but he accidentally got speared by Taurus, but Microman landed right on top of him. Uno, dos, tres. He's out. He is done. So basically, Taurus accidentally speared him, and of course, he is sent home. So bye-bye, Gino. Now, the interview we have is with, of course, Mance Warner, talking about his big victory towards Kruger, but he's up to his old habit again, old man sir, all this and stuff. But I thought it was a real funny interview. Now, our next segment, once again, Alex Kane with his claim that the Opera Cup is his. He calls it the Bumaye Fight Club trophy. The cup. He is refusing to hand it over back to MLW because he thinks he owns it because he beat up Davey Richards. But however, next week the rightful owners of that trophy will make their appearance. If you guys don't know who I'm referring to, we're talking about the legendary family you know pretty well. We're talking about the British Bulldog's son. Davey Boy Smith Jr. will come back to take him out in a 6-man tag match, but he is not coming alone. He is being joined by his cousins, the nephews of the late Dynamite Kid, the Billington Bulldogs. They will be teaming up to take on the Bumaye Fight Club, and I hope Davey Boy Smith Jr. takes back the Opera Cup where it rightfully should be, in the hands of MLW where it rightfully belongs. And I'm sure sooner or later the Bumaye Fight Club will be banned from the Opera Cup tournament. They don't own it. They think that they own it, but they don't. But they never met a legendary family like the Bulldogs. Now our main event features Willie Mack and Jacob Fatu. Man, they took it to the extreme limit no matter what. I thought it was a really brutal match. Now, we've seen Fatu, how they operate, but Fatu has always been one of those impressive wrestlers where he is always dangerous. But it took a moonsault for him to take out Willie Mack. 1, 2, 3 is over. But sooner or later, we're going to see Fatu down the line to cash in his opportunity of the MLW World Championship. So we will see when that day comes. And I think that's pretty much it with MLW. It's time for Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling, they're only 1 week away from Hard to Kill for Friday the 13th. Yeah. Let's just hope Jason doesn't show up, if you know what I mean. Anyway, it opened up with Deonna Purrazzo making her way, heading to the commentary booth where she will be commentating the match between Masha Slamovich and Taylor Wilde. Now, it was foretold that Deonna Purrazzo, Slamovich, and Wilde will be involved in a 4-way match for a #1 contendership for the Knockouts Championship. That is something. But however, in the match between Masha Slamovich and Taylor Wilde, we're seeing a brand new Taylor Wilde that has reinvented herself. But however, Masha Slamovich, as you know, she came so close in winning the Knockouts Championship from Jordynne Grace, but now she has to start from scratch. But in the midst of this match, much like anything, Taylor Wilde pulled off the inside cradle to pick up the win, but Masha Slamovich was livid. She completely lost her mind, attacked the security guard, almost tried to pick a fight with the ref and everything else. So basically, Masha Slamovich just lost his mind. Now, amidst to what happened a couple of weeks ago, we saw Sami Callihan wanted to join in the design. However, the design don't think he has, but Sami Callihan is determined to show. Now, later on, they did show the design, or like not sure. They would appreciate Sami being there, but in their back of their heads, they're a little worried. What if Sami is playing a game? Sami has been known to be devious at times, but we won't know. So, Sami has to prove that if he wants to get in, he has to cleanse himself, cut off his hair. So, we'll see about that. Now, Rich Swann, as you know, he's been dealing with Steve Maclin. Maclin, who's been on a rampage due to the fact that he felt that he should be in line to challenge for the Impact World title. But however, Rich Swann says, that he's not complaining. He knows that he'll get another opportunity. So he decided to put him in a match, in a, what he calls it, a no disqualification match at Hard to Kill. So this is going to be interesting. In the ring, Crazy Steve applied a promo calling out Anthony Green, who we mentioned. We may know him as August Gray in NXT in the past. So he makes his debut in Impact Wrestling, taking on Black Taurus. But however, he ended up on the wrong side of Destination Hellhole. But as soon as the match was over at the post-match, Anthony Green was attacked from behind by Trey Miguel, and then of course he tagged him. I don't know what's the purpose of Trey Miguel doing that. He was not part of the problem, but I think he was just sending a message. Now, Kenny King for a long time has been trying to get under the skin of Speedball Mike Bailey, but he went to his dojo and beat up his students. In the process of an interview, Speedball comes out all pissed off. Can't believe it. So he decided, okay, you wanted my attention? Then we're going to do this in a pit fight. Basically, this is a match where the ring ropes are removed. We're doing Kumite style. If you guys ever seen the blood sport matches that they did in GCW, then you guys are in for a treat for that. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, our next match, we have Jonathan Gresham taking on Ernest R. Anthony. I have to say, I love this match because it showed how Jonathan Gresham, he's a master of the game of pure wrestling. He knows how to play, not dirty tactics, but the smart game. He outsmarted Anthony many times over until he finally put him in a pinfall, and 1, 2, 3 is over. But it's only a matter of time until he gets his hands on Eddie Edwards for what he did last year. Next up, we see a little moment between Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans, who are not happy with the results of what happened, losing the tag titles. But, however, they were great presents by Giselle Shaw. Here we go again. Last time we saw this, it did not work out. But it looks like we'll see what takes place. Now, Moose comes out, who is initially announced that he will be facing Joe Hendry for the digital media title. But Joe Hendry decided to play a little game with them by using his song Calling Moose that he got rejected from the NFL. I thought that music was so hilarious. I just couldn't stop laughing. I almost died. Now, it's because I thought it was so funny. Moose was like living. I'm sorry, it never gets old. Now, they put on a very interesting video about Mickie James' career. As you know, she's going to be put in the toughest test ever, where she'll be facing Jordan Grace. It's career versus title. So, I have to say her journey being with Impact has been great. People can say they reinvent themselves in TNA and Impact in the past. Look at Gail Kim. She is one of those people that reinvented themselves, because in the past we have seen how many women were disrespected by the way they were not being treated in WWE. But Mickie James knows that Impact will always be her home. So we'll see what happens at Hard to Kill. But we do get a little tribute video where many superstars talk about the late Don West. As you know, it was announced not a few days ago of his passing. I mean, it was sad. This was someone who will be remembered as the voice of TNA. I mean, I remembered him a lot. People talk about him like Gail Kim, Josh Alexander, Chris Harris, Frankie Kazarian. A few other people talk about him. And it's sad, but I think it's a proper tribute for him, knowing they talk highly great about him. And I think that's a good thing. And I think many people are going to miss him. I'm sure I know I will, because I remember how he was so energetic. He was a force of nature that you couldn't unmatch for what he does. You know, I could say who is the better commentator, but I can't, because every commentator is different. And Don West is no different. He's no different from JR or Tony Schiavone. Mike today, he has a different, unique way, and that's a good thing. So, I love the tribute. Now, our next match, we have Matt Cardona versus Chris Sabin. Now, keep in mind, the Motor City Machine Guns put themselves in an elimination four-way tag match for the Impact World titles. And I thought this match was pretty good. However, we know in the X Factor that Matt Cardona likes to cut corners. He has his buddy, Brian Myers, try to help him until, of course, Brian Myers got his ass whooped completely. But it took a cradle shot by Sabin to Cardona to win the match. But the obvious question is, how would this play out on Hard to Kill? We just got to wait and see. Now, initially we were told that Bully Ray and Josh Alexander were sent home. Bully Ray decided to show up, calling out Alexander. Instead, he got Scott D'Amore, tries to talk to him. But however, when things got a little heated, D'Amore punched him, spit at him. But of course, the lackeys that he had last time, Skyler and Hodge, decided to help him. D'Amore was put through a pile driver and then powerbombed through a table, sending a direct message saying that at Hard to Kill, he will be the brand new Impact Wrestling World Champion. So Alexander better be on his A game, and we'll see what happens then. I think that's pretty much it what we have for this. So let's move on to news updates. Okay, by the time we were doing this video, I just checked up on my phone. It was told that Stardom, on the other hand, just putting this out now for the news updates, that half of the roster has been got sick, and they were minor changes they had to do in the show. This was interesting. I hope they make it through the speedy recovery. I don't know how this would affect until the 8th of January, since they're continue on there, so we'll just wait and see. Now, you may have heard of the situation going on that Vince wants to come back to WWE as part of the board of directors. However, he wants to come back so he can sell the company. Personally, I don't know how that feels. I know that many people talk about this, especially sources within WWE. There are people that don't want to see him. Things are going well for WWE since he left. And I said this before, it felt like a dark cloud just left, but now it's like that cloud wants to come back. Basically, right now, from what people are saying, Vince is holding the entire company hostage. Like, he wants to come back. We just don't know if this is going to be right or anything, but I'm sure something will come up. We just got to wait and see. Now, due to the result of what happened at Wrestle Kingdom, apparently Dave Meltzer had a different opinion about Mercedes Mone. Something that he said. Now, this was posted by Wrestling Purists, a wrestling news outlet based out of the UK, and this is what they had to say about what Meltzer said on his Meltzer said. So this is, let me pull it up real quick. Here it is. I also know from WWE that they are very strongly under the impression that Mercedes Mone, will not wrestle for AEW. They think that she's coming back at some point. She'll get this out of her system, and she'll do the New Japan matches and come back. Dave Meltzer. Okay, let's be for real about this. Not to take away anything, we have seen wrestlers that they said the same thing to. Jon Moxley, remember what happened. He left as soon as his contract expired. Vince McMahon said it himself. He was under the impression that he was going to come back. No, he showed up at AEW. Why does WWE have that same impression again? What makes them think that Mercedes Mone, formerly known as Sasha Banks, will return? We don't know that. We know that the WWE fan base are butthurt over this. And I get it. You're upset that your favorite female wrestler left and you feel like it's a load of horse crap. But it is what it is. Now, keep in mind, people thought the same thing about Jake Hager. It's like, nope, he's not going to be in AEW. He showed up. You keep saying that wrestlers who were from W are not showing up in AEW. Look what happened. They did show up. That's the problem. If WWE are under that, they need to stop believing what they think. Just let nature take its course. If they can't do that, then sorry, then they're just idiots, in my opinion. Look what happened to Mox. Look what happened to Jericho, Hager. They were there under the impression they were coming back? No. So we'll see what happens then. Now, due to what happened to Lio Rush being split open at Wrestle Kingdom, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla has announced that Lio Rush, who was set to be showing up at Battle of Los Angeles, apparently he is out. He was replaced by Brian Keith, the Bounty Hunter. I will keep an apprised of this show, but we'll see what happens then. WrestleCon has announced for the next guest. Camille Brickhouse will be appearing. Great moment to see. Updates for Jersey Championship for the J-Cup. The next entrant they announced is Dylan McKay. Now, this one's exciting news. I'm so happy. As you know, recently I talked about Ganbare Pro with their latest thing. Now, if you guys know this, Ganbare Pro last year started their own championship because the one they had officially left and went to another promotion. They started the the Spirit of Ganbare World Openweight Championship. We have so far right now, let's see, 4 champions that held that title. But however, I had a feeling that someday this was going to come up. They announced, this was coming from the Dramatic DDT Twitter page where they announced this. We're going to have the Spirit of Ganbare World Tag Team titles. This is huge news because I felt they cannot rely on just having one title. And I have to say this is a good move from Ganbare Pro to have another championship. And especially it has to be tag team titles. There's still no further details yet, but I love Ganbare Pro. As you know, I love what they can do in their shows, even though all the wrestlers are freelancers. I love it. I yet to see the latest Ganbare show that happened late December. I will do those soon enough until I catch up with everything. No details yet on the Ganbare Joshi yet on that, but we'll see what happens. I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. As you know, I'm still trying to catch up to certain events that I haven't seen yet. I have a list of wrestling shows that are still haven't seen from December all the way to now. I'll catch up to those soon enough. Please be patient with me because you know there's a lot of things I haven't seen. Thing is, it's kind of difficult, but we'll get through them. Not making any promises to anybody, but I'm asking please be patient. I know you love certain reviews that I like to do. But however, since it's Friday, we are going to reviewing AEW Rampage. I believe we also got Battle of the Belts, I'm presuming, but also we got NXT Level Up, so we'll just see what happens then. So I'm just gonna wing it and we'll go from there. And I think that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.